Hi, everybody. Welcome to a very disappointing Wednesday bulletin where Rangers have been defeated 4-0 away in Ajax. We've got JB. He was, I was going to say, lucky enough to get to the game, but he's over in Ajax, and now, as you can see, kind of walking through Amsterdam. How are you after that, JB?
A little bit deflated, to be fair. I think it's not very often we watch Rangers over the years when you come out of the stadium and there's zero positive to take. And I think that's twice in a week now. I think we've had that. Other than probably Leon King, there's probably nobody that you would say just played anywhere near the potential. It's all right, they're a good side, but if you let any professional footballer knock the ball down, they're going to make you look stupid, and that's what they did today. So, no, extremely disappointing, to be honest. I thought the manager's tactics, I thought were all over the place. I've never seen a 5-2-3 work in any level of football, whether it be amateur football, professional football, and I don't see it working against a team like Ajax. To have Ryan Jack and Glenn Kamara as a sorry, I can't even think who it was now. There was a two-man midfield. I think they had four in the midfield, and they were just picking us off the front. It was embarrassing. Without being too hasty, I can't see how Van Brandt coming back from it. He just sat there looking clueless. There's lads on the bench like Yilmaz, Davis, Morelos. They all need minutes, and they're all sitting there, not even getting 15, 20 minutes. Then you've got lads like Sholak, who's a coacher. We know what Sholak's been brought in to do. He's been brought in to put the ball in the back of the net. If you're not creating chance for us, don't try him, don't run him into the ground. It's a bit typical of someone like Sholak and pick up a little hamstring injury. And as I say, you can go scattergun. You can go scattergun with it. But I say because there were so few positives, so we'll wait and see. We'll try and get a little beer anyway. So anyway, that was me. I'll let you have a little chat amongst yourselves while I get a beer and we'll go from there.
Yeah, that's quite all right, JB. I think like a lot of us, very emotional after that defeat, Ross. I think JB's given us quite a nice summary of a few things there, and I know across the board there's a lot of Rangers supporters that echo a lot of the points that JB was making there. How do you feel about it yourself, Ross?
Yeah, I'm in a bit of a weird state emotionally, to be honest. It probably shows the problems that we have right now because I didn't really expect much from tonight. I think I expected a little bit of a lift in performance, but ultimately I expected to lose the game. I think the real sucker punch is how we've lost that game again. I mean, it's really a carbon copy of what we've seen at Parkhead at the weekend. The manner of some of the goals that we've lost are just inexplicable, really. There's just a real lack of intensity from the team, real effort on show. It's just not there. And it's hard to describe right now, actually. I think the best way to describe it is scuddered. Like, that's the way I feel about the team right now. I can feel their lack of confidence. Like, I can feel it. Which is worrying. You know, this is the first game of the Champions League. This is what we've all been working back towards for a long time. And I know we had a disappointing result of the weekend, but this really was a fresh start for the team. This was the ability to put things behind them from the weekend and go out there and give us a performance. That's all. I don't think Rangers fans really expected a result. They just expected a performance. Yeah. I say GB's dropped out there. He's done really well with that summary, to be fair. I've actually just read a statistic on my phone there when JB was giving his part, and I seen that Johnny McFarlane tweeted that Ajax ran 6 kilometres more than Rangers tonight. Now, that's with Ajax having the majority of the ball. That's extremely worrying. That's worrying. And I'm with JB on that. I didn't feel that Van Bronckhorst had the answers on the bench. Looking at him in those TV pictures, he just looked lost. And it's a really, really weird place to be in so early on in the season. And if you go back 2 weeks ago when we qualified for the Champions League, it was There was an unbelievable feeling around the club. It's completely gone. It's gone. And I worry for this manager now. I said it the weekend, or I said it on Monday when we had the discussion. I worry for the manager, and I can understand why there's a lot of people questioning his position tonight.
Yeah, it's certainly amongst this is Ibrox group chat and on Twitter, it's rife talking about Gio's position at the moment. We'll maybe come to that towards the end of the pod, but I always stick to this. We are a post-match reaction pod, so let's try and get into it as sort of much as we can, Ross. And yes, but I think before we start, I think something just to pick up on something you said there. We were expecting a reaction tonight, anything, just something, because Saturday was unacceptable. And I never like saying this as a Rangers supporter. You don't want to say like getting beat 4-0 off Ajax is acceptable, but if there's a performance there, I mean, nobody or no sane Rangers fan is expecting us to go out and, top this group or get maximum points or anything like that. But we're just looking, we equipped ourselves well last year in Europe, and okay, we got some fantastic results, but the performances were there. We wanted it, and it just didn't look like we wanted it today. But anyway, we'll just start off with the starting 11. We started off with McLaughlin in goals. Maybe a surprise. Again, seen a lot of comments on Twitter about him starting. We had Tav at right back, Goldson, Sands, Barisic. We appeared to have sort of Lundstrom sitting as a deep line midfielder in the first half, with Kamara, Tillman slightly further forward, Kent on the left, and Cholak up front with Scott. This is what I'm saying. I can't even write Scott Wright's name down on my starting 11. I've written Barisic, but yeah, Scott Wright there. Were you surprised at that starting 11 given the performance at the weekend, Ross?
No, I actually wasn't surprised by the starting 11. I felt that would be the starting 11. Other than Arfield, I felt Arfield would maybe come in off the right. I can maybe understand why he went for Scott Wright, maybe feeling we're not going to have a lot of the ball tonight, and he's maybe going to give us that opportunity to progress up the pitch. But that was ultimately the team I expected. That is probably a problem that we have overall, though. After a performance like that at the weekend, 4-0, the fact that you're expecting the same team to line up for the next game, that probably shows you where we are right now with the squad. But no, ultimately, I wasn't surprised by the lineup. I totally understand why he's taken that route. I don't think he'll take this route again, but I can understand why he made the decision to go with that lineup tonight.
Mm-hmm. And I'll maybe just stick with and John McLaughlin. Were you surprised to see him starting, given the, I think, deserved criticism that he faced at the weekend?
No, again, I wasn't surprised. I think you can see where there isn't a lot of positives right now, but you can see the Rangers have got a lot better in their build-up this season. Now, of course, we haven't seen that the last couple of games, but overall, we do seem to be better at playing the ball from the back, and McLaughlin has had a decent role in that. So I can't see the manager completely scrapping that after one poor result. So no, I wasn't surprised to see John McLaughlin tonight. But ultimately, that position it's up for debate. People feel that John McLaughlin should have been out after his performance. Can totally understand why. And a lot of people feel he should keep his place because McGregor ultimately isn't up to it either. So we're in a bit of a sticky situation, but no, I wasn't surprised to see John McLaughlin goal tonight.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comment. Look, it's difficult reading through my notes here for this. It seemed almost positive in the first 10 minutes. I think I've written down something like the open 10 minutes, we had both sides sort of finding their feet. Rangers, I thought, maintained a good shape. All things pointed quite positively in the first 10 minutes, I would say. Both teams sort of sussing each other out at this point. There was a good battle between Bassey and Cholak, but unfortunately Bassey, as he did throughout the game, seemed to win a lot of those. But yeah, what was your sort of thoughts in the opening 10 minutes and I don't know, were you confident at that point that Rangers could possibly do something or not have the collapse that they basically went on to have?
Well, it's interesting you say there that you took some notes earlier and you were maybe saying about Rangers' shape, out of possession and things. I actually have exactly the same note that I was taking from the game. I felt we started quite well. I think the shape was good off the ball. Ajax really weren't getting a lot of joy. Now, of course, it's early on in the game. They're probably feeling their way into it. But I didn't feel like we started particularly poorly. I didn't feel like the all-round performance in terms of the first 10, 50 minutes, I didn't think it was going to lead to that kind of performance. That's probably the best way to describe it. I felt like we started okay. Didn't look under any real pressure. You could start to feel Ajax starting to turn it up a wee bit. So I wasn't surprised once they started to create a few chances. But no, I didn't. I didn't feel we started badly at all. I actually thought we were quite good, to be honest, and that's what I've noted down.
Yeah, and the next action point to sort of come on to is 16 minutes, and it's the first goal for Ajax. I think before that, I don't want to say they just had a half chance, but it was a ball sort of launched up. I think Tillman took it in quite well to his feet. Took it past a couple of players, but it was symptomatic of the whole night. We just could not fashion a chance from that. But anyway, so Ajax sort of step it up a wee bit here. 16 minutes. They get a corner. It's a goal that comes in. I think this might be the most, if you could put it, enraging goal of the night, given that it's absolutely scandalous for me that how a player, a central defender for Ajax, can have a free header in the box. There was nobody challenging him at all. He just placed it into an empty net, no man in a post again. And I blame zonal marking entirely for this yet again. Ross, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, well, it's funny you said that because that's exactly what I was just about to say. It's going to bring up that debate between man marking and zonal marking again, and quite rightly, to be honest, because listen, I think I've said before I am a fan of zonal marking, but when you keep conceding goals like this, it's quite right. It gets questioned, so it's hard for me to defend it. What I will say at the moment with set pieces, I don't feel like there's someone really taking responsibility. There's just not someone just willing to maybe just break out from that zone and think, if I don't get there, someone else isn't going to get there. I need to get ahead onto that ball. I don't feel it. I think they had that with the BT Sport analysis. They were saying there were 6 men caught under the ball, and that is exactly it. If you get 6 men caught under the ball, you're gonna find it difficult to defend it. It's hard for me to pick out actually who's at fault for it. I don't know how you feel on that. It's hard for me to identify who really should be getting his head onto that. And I think that's the problem right there. I don't think there's a clear understanding from the majority of the players on the park. And it's worrying because we've seen this before. Obviously, the last 2 goals we did concede in the Champions League qualifier were set pieces from PSV. And to see that kick off the game again against Ajax, it is a bit of deja vu, isn't it? You feel like, oh, here we go again. Mm-hmm. So it's something we need to address now. It's one of many, to be honest with you, but I'm with you. It's one of those goals you do feel that you don't want to lose that kind of goal, especially when you're playing an opposition of that higher level. You'd rather just get cut open and feel like, okay, we're playing a good team here, but it's a free header. And there's just no one taking responsibility again.
It's a poor goal to lose, and as you said, I think you've hit the nail on the head with that one in terms of with the zonal marking. It's very easy to like, you don't know exactly who's who. Like, if somebody's in a zone, they can very easily transition to another zone because it's only 3 yards away, and that's another man getting that ball. And yeah, it was just poor. I don't know who to blame, and I don't think the players knew who was actually picking that guy up. So, but yeah. Anyway, the sort of next 2 points, they're again very small positives that I can take out of the first half. I've put on 20 minutes. Ajax were really, really going through the gears at this point. I think they could almost smell blood on us in terms of that this team are here for the taking, to be honest with you. They really, really stepped it up. And I think McLaughlin had a couple of good saves in here. And then the next sort of action point was 28 minutes. This infuriated me quite a lot in the first half. Some of the passing was just so short at times. Like, I don't know what it was. Like, it's been a while since I've seen a Rangers performance where we just couldn't get the measure. It's almost like a boxer, trying to get the measure of the punches. We could not find that sweet spot with the range of passing. But yeah, the one I'm talking about in particular here is the one between sort of Tav and Lundstrom. I couldn't figure out if it was a bad ball from Tav or if it was Lundstrom let it run too much. But it was a great block by Ajax, and at this point Rangers were really, really under the cosh, Ross.
Yeah, I think what you've said there regarding the passing, it was like that all night. I think there was on the second half with Kamara where he's breaking and he turns inside and he goes to play a square ball, which I suppose that's a way of progressing up the park as well. If you can switch it to the other side, but it just runs past and we end up losing the ball. This one I was the same. I took a note for this because this stood out for me. I think you're right on both. I think Tav is short with a pass, and I think Lundstrom takes too long. I think he feels there's a lot of power on the ball and quickly realizes there isn't, and he's too lackluster and he gets picked off. All round, yeah, the passing tonight was just really poor from a team that's not one of the kind of weaknesses I would give for this Rangers side. They do have a lot of good technical players. It's not something I would ever attribute to them, that they are a wee bit slack with their passing sometimes. That's just not something that ever pops into my mind. But tonight, oh yeah, the passing was awful. Let me just say before we continue, we were playing a good side tonight, right? So, you know, when you're playing against a side like this, they will tend to make you look worse than you probably are. That is just football. Ultimately, we were playing a really, really good Ajax side, and they did start to turn it on at this point. Their press was phenomenal. Really good. Like every time we had the ball in our final third, they were right on us. You know, their press was really good. But ultimately, when you do have an opportunity to keep the ball for a while and hold on to possession, you must be better. And that's where we lack tonight. I can hold my hands up and say we're playing a good team, but we didn't do enough when we had the ball. And ultimately didn't do enough off the ball either. So yeah, just an all-round terrible night.
Yeah. Again, I think you've summed it up perfectly there. The next action point to come on to, 31 minutes, is where Ajax made it 2-0. This is very brief in the notes for me. I've just written that it's an unfortunate goal to concede with a deflection, but having maybe had a wee look back at it at half time and at the end of the match there, perhaps felt Barisic maybe could have stepped out a wee bit more for this one, but you can't really do anything at the end of the day, Ross, if it hits off one of your own players and catches the keeper off guard.
Yeah, but it is a bit of an unlucky goal to concede. Now, I'm not saying that takes away from the build up. We should have been better, and I think you're right. I think Borna could have maybe been out a wee bit quicker. I think that's maybe one to learn from James Sands. If he doesn't feel like he can make a real good enough contact on the ball, you're probably, I know it sounds weird, you're probably better letting it go, because I think McLaughlin had a good sight of it. But that one's difficult to judge, isn't it? As a defender, you just want to try and stop that ball. So I'm not going to be too critical on James Sands there. He was very unfortunate with that touch. He actually had a phenomenal interception about 2 or 3 minutes before that. I think that was from the Lundstrom slack pass. So yeah, I felt bad for him at that point, because I thought, wow, you really stood up for us, 2 minutes before that. So then for that to happen to him, summed up right. It was a poor goal to concede again.
Yeah, and at this point, I'm just sitting thinking, just if we can try and make it to half time at 2-0 at this point, just regroup and just sort of stem the flow here. But Ajax, again, as you said, they were phenomenal tonight. They did really turn it up and go through the gears at points. But it was kudos. The ball sort of in the middle of the pitch. I know he's went off injured here at half time, Tav, or that seems to be what's doing the rounds. For me, he's got to be doing better. He's got to stop that at source. Albeit it was a fantastic run, and we don't often face shots like that in our domestic league. You can perhaps get away with it in the SPFL, but not at Champions League level. It's unforgivable, that, isn't it?
Yeah, this is actually the worst goal of the night for me, surprisingly. Probably because I've seen the set piece goal before and I know it's an issue. But that one was not. I know James Tavernier has had a lot of criticism over the years for his defending, right? But he has been a lot better at it. This one is criminal. He's came out well out of position to press him. And when he's got there, he's just been turned so easily, and he just doesn't have the capacity to get back and make a challenge. And yeah, let's be fair here. It's an absolutely phenomenal strike, right? John McLaughlin's got no chance, but he shouldn't be able to get to that position. He's just easily turned Tavernier, and he's ran about 15, 20 yards really unopposed because he just can't get back. Yeah, worst goal of the night for me, that one. that it didn't actually surprise me hearing Tavernier come off at halftime after that goal, because I just thought it's on Van Bronckhorst's side, isn't it? So he's watching it and he must just be like, what is going on here? This is the captain. It's shocking. It's really bad. And yeah, listen, if Tavernier, we all heard the rumours before Parkhead at the weekend that Tavernier could have been out with an injury, right? So if he is carrying something, then I maybe feel a wee bit sorry for him. But ultimately, once you're on the pitch, you're going to be judged. And the manager should be coming out and making it clear now that he is carrying something, because his performance tonight was really poor. And let's be honest, this season he hasn't been great so far, James Tavernier. He's not the only one, but he hasn't really been up to it this season, and that really just highlighted that again.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. It's just up until half time, Ajax created a few more chances. There was another McLaughlin save in there, I think, before half time. But yeah, I think at this stage, a lot of us were just happy. As terrible again as that sounds, to get in at the break at 3-0. At this point, I've written down in big letters here, big capital letters, what is our identity as a team? Like, what is happening on this pitch? How is this gone so wrong? Pretty much. I think it was Richard Gough that said, you're only one defeat away from a crisis at Rangers, and it's only half time, and that's two in the trot. But I think it was pretty evident that we had zero chance at getting back into this game. I think that for me, that's the most disappointing thing about the whole thing, was 3-0, 30 minutes, and the game's done. We didn't even give ourselves a chance. But yeah, it's a difficult one to answer, but if I'd like to pick your brains about that, Ross. What is the identity of Rangers at the moment? Are we a counter-attacking team? Are we a pressing team? What are we?
I think I spoke about this on the Monday pod, actually. I think our Van Bronckhorst philosophy is all about control. He wants to feel in control of a game. So our build-up is quite slow, it's quite predictable, but he feels like, listen, if we've got hold of the ball, they don't, and ultimately they can't score. And even tonight, I think you could feel our shape out off the ball. It was about control. It was trying to keep Ajax towards certain areas. Of course, that didn't last very long, but I can see that's what he's going for. I think you're right, though. Even if that is what I conceive as the philosophy, there isn't a real identity. There isn't any kind of real patterns of play when we attack. You could see that clearly under Steven Gerrard and Michael Beale. You knew how Rangers attacked. It was very obvious, and sometimes to the detriment. We didn't really move from that, but at least you had a clear understanding. You knew what everyone's role in the team was. I don't feel that at all. I don't get that from Van Bronckhorst at all. He's constantly moving people around. And listen, I get it. It was really successful for us last season. He moved people around in that European run and he made the most of it. But ultimately, you do need to have a wee bit of consistency in your team. Yeah. And we just don't seem to have that, especially in midfield. It's arguably the most important area of the park, and we don't have any consistency in there. The only consistent figure in there is John Lundstrom, but he asked them to play 3-4 different roles. Yeah. So you're bang on. I'm not surprised you wrote that. My notes kind of stopped after halftime, to be honest with you. I just get caught up in the emotion of the game. So fair play that you were still writing things at this point, but you're right. There's no identity. I'm curious what you think. What do you think? Can you see anything at all?
No, that's why I wrote that down. In all honesty, I don't know what our identity is. I think that we are asking too much of too many players, to be honest. I think I understand the way Gio works. I just think it's a very complex system, and the things that we got asked to do tonight, i.e., again, I know I won't be the only one frustrated in terms of our passing the ball at the back, but we're not good enough to be doing that against a team like Ajax. You could maybe get away with it against some of the teams in the Europa League last year, but I don't want to say it's madness. I think for me, sometimes the way we played, I have no idea what our identity is. As you said, we knew exactly how we were going to be against Gerrard, although that did get levelled at him as criticism sometimes because he didn't really, what was plan B, do plan A better type thing. But I don't really know what's happening at Rangers at the moment, but it needs sorted pronto, doesn't it? But look, we'll stick with the game here, Ross. Gio made 3 subs at half time. Again, absolute madness that we're saying it, but it took Tillman right and Tav off. Obviously, Tav with the injury. It seems like that seems to be what's coming out post match. Is that I think Gio's as good as said that Tav's struggling with a bit of an injury. And we put Jack Matondo and King on. And by the way, King is the only positive that I can take out of this game, that he didn't look phased against a world class side. But yeah, pretty evident from these changes that the Gio's just shutting up shop, isn't he? Because as I said before, at 3-0 at 30 minutes, the game was done.
Yeah, I think it was evident. It was damage limitations, wasn't it? The subs confused me a tad. I'm not. Someone can tell me if I'm right or wrong here. Was Adam Devine on the bench tonight?
I'm not sure. I need to double check that. I'm assuming he was, but I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
So that was the part that I found particularly strange about this move. Leon King been pushed out to right back. You're 3-0 down. If you want Leon King on the pitch, it's probably best for his development that you just play him in some sort of central role. And if that means you don't, you move things around, you don't potentially bring Ryan Jack on, you bring Devine on. I don't know. That was a weird one for me. Mm-hmm. I can understand why he's done that. He wants Jack in there for solidity, but let's be honest, Jack hasn't been great so far this season. So that was a strange one. Don't get me wrong, I understood the substitutions, and I think that's what we all really hoped for, if we were honest, because like you said before, the game's done at 3-0. We could have that fighting spirit, but let's be honest, it's done. You're not going to score 3+ against this Ajax side at home. Mm-hmm. So ultimately, it's over. So yeah, I can understand the substitutions, but again, just weird, just putting players in roles that they're not familiar with, and you've got options there to not do that. Strange, mate. Really strange.
The only thing I'll say about that is I've seen Gio put King at right back before. I'm sure he switched maybe in a pre-season game. I'm sure he actually had Devine on the left and King on the right at one point, which had me scratching my head. But yeah, I think to not put a natural choice right back, maybe some people are questioning that, but for what it's worth, as I said, I thought Leon King was the only positive that you can take out of that game in Amsterdam. Again, there's only two real things to talk about from a positive point of view from Rangers in the second half. I got 65 minutes. Matondo, again, was really the only glimpse of quality that I felt he showed in the whole game. He put an early ball in the box for Kent, and Kent just sort of sclaffs at it and it goes wide. Do you think Kent's got to do a wee bit better in this chance, Ross?
I think it's hard for him to get across the defender there. Listen, I'd love to criticise him today because I don't think he was great overall. Ryan Kent gave the ball away so many times when he didn't need to. But this one, I'd probably be being a wee bit harsh. I think if he gets across his man better and he doesn't hit the target, then I'm like, okay, he should have done better there. And maybe that's a criticism. Maybe he has to get across his man better. That's maybe the way to look at it. But I just felt from his position, do you know what, mate? Ultimately, you don't expect Ryan Kent to take these chances, do you? That's really the problem we have here. I don't feel confident when he's in that position. So that's probably why I'm not too disappointed that he actually missed the chance. You know what I mean? It's one of those. Yeah, I'm not going to be too harsh on him in that one.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair enough. Look, in the next sort of 2 points to talk about, 1 in 68 minutes, I thought this was a brilliant ball from Lundstrom up to Kent. Kent runs, sort of cuts it back. I thought he'd lost it at this point as well. Barisic does very well just to sort of nick in, and it's quite reminiscent of the goal that he scored against Blackpool in pre-season friendly with was an excellent finish from his right foot. But I'm not going to be critical of VAR. That's what it's there to do. Kent was offside, and it was credit ruled for offside, Ross.
Yeah, can't criticise VAR, to be honest. That's exactly what we'd want. You want to win the game fairly and you want to lose the game fairly. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a blow tonight because, yeah, that was a really, really nice finish from Borna Barisic. And actually, I felt deserved it because he'd made a really great tackle in Kudus when he was through on goal, maybe about 2 or 3 minutes before. So I felt like he really earned that opportunity and he took it brilliantly. And you could see how gutted he was when it was ruled out. He was looking for that as well and might have given us a bit of a lift going in towards the end of the game and maybe could have salvaged some pride out of that. But yeah, just bit disappointed Ryan Kent there. probably has a long opportunity to get back and get onside and give us a real opportunity. If the ball comes over the top, he can make the most of it, and he's just a bit slack. And ultimately that costs us. So you're right to highlight the ball from John Lundstrom, though. It's a great pass. He's in his own corner, really, and he's picked out over the top. So yeah, we'll give him credit there, but just a bit of just a blow, isn't it? Really, at that point, you're not expecting much, but it's just kicks you right in the balls again. To be honest, it's a tough one.
Well, that's exactly it was. It was a kick in the stones. It just made an awful night even more awful. And the absolute last action point to talk about in the game comes in 79 minutes. And at this point, I was what's the word I'm looking for? I was surprised at how eerily parallel this was to Saturday's game, and the fact that we're 3-0 down after 30 minutes. Game's effectively over, and then the fourth goal is just a silly mistake. It was a really poor ball from Jack. I've no idea why he's sort of making that pass. I would have thought Barisic would have been the easier pass to make at left back there, but he puts it in a really dangerous area. Goldson's just not read it, and Steven Bergwijn, who was phenomenal for them tonight. I think you can see why he's got 8 goals in 7 games for them after he's moved back from Tottenham. But I suppose that's the levels we're competing against. We are in the Champions League now. But yeah, it's a really another poor goal to lose.
Yeah, I believe Tottenham paid around 30 million for this guy, so I'm not surprised that he's making us look a wee bit amateur, to be honest. But yeah, I agree with you on this one with Ryan Jack. I feel there's an easier pass to Borna Barisic and just takes a bit of a risk. What I will say with Ryan Jack is he's usually very crisp with these sort of passes. That's really what he's good at these one-touch balls, but he's just got it completely wrong. And you're right, it's just so similar to the weekend that it's just strange. It's weird to think about. Ultimately, I think at that stage of the game, Ajax are coasting. They've taken their foot off the gas. And let's be honest, we have really as well mentally, right? So see, at that stage of the game, I just want us to not really take any risks other than if you really feel there's an opportunity to play through on goal, then play it. But really, you're just wanting the team to not take any risks and keep the scoreline as low as possible, right? So that one is that's just game management, to be honest with you. That's just taking unnecessary risks at a point of the game that I don't think Ajax were really bothered about scoring again. They really did take the foot off the gas in the second half. So, yeah, that's just gifting a goal again, exactly the way we did at the weekend. So, yeah, again, just absolutely scuddered with that one, mate.
Yeah, look, I think that's it in terms of discussing the game and what happened in the game. It was a really disappointing night in our first night back in 12 years. And I mean, the only thing I can say is, again, the only positive I can take from that was King's performance. That's a good bit of experience for him. And in the next game, I touch wood when I say this, but hopefully it can't be as bad as that. But look, we'll get into it. There's a couple of things before we go, Ross, that I want to touch on. I think that something McCoist said at half time on BT that I picked up. It was like the thing that stands out for him was that the team just have no belief in themselves. We have no belief in ourselves, and I think that's absolutely spot on. Where has this come from, and how is this sort of? I mean, do you have an answer for why this has happened to us?
Well, yeah, this was something I highlighted right at the beginning. I could feel tonight like there was no confidence in that team. I was getting nothing back for them. It was strange. I mean, we did start okay, but just in possession, we just didn't look like we had any real belief that we could trouble Ajax once we got possession of the ball. I think this ultimately stems from having a poor couple of results against Hibs and Celtic. And in the majority of our domestic games this season, we haven't been great, to be honest with you. And it's maybe just one game rolling into the next. I don't know. It's hard for me to answer this one, actually. Usually I can come up with something, but I'm struggling with this one. There seems to be I don't know how you feel in this one. I do feel like there seems to be a wee bit of a disconnect between the players and the manager. And I think you're starting to see that on the pitch now. What I can't really understand, though, is where that's came from. And ultimately, that's what you're asking me. I don't know where that's came from because they qualified for the Champions League 2 weeks ago and you really felt like the group was together. This was it. We've hit the target of hitting the Champions League. This is it. This is going to kickstart us this season. We're going to just roll into games now. We haven't. You know, we obviously played well against, was it St Johnstone after the PSV game, but Hibs, we didn't do enough that day. Ultimately, the referee was poor, and then Celtic is just an absolutely atrocious result, and this has just compounded it. So, yeah, I'm curious to know what you think, to be honest, because I don't know where the lack of self-belief and the no confidence has came from, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm struggling as well. I mean, the only thing I can kind of liken this to is, if you remember sort of under the Gerrard era, if we didn't score in the first sort of 10 to 20 minutes, the heads went down. And it was just, it reminds me a bit of that. And you know, I've never really said this before. I think I've only said it once in a podcast before. And it's there are some players that I feel could be given a bit more effort into the team. And that's not on the ball stuff, that's off the ball stuff. That's why I know a lot of people, you know, I get a bit of a ribbon for the criticism that I give Scott Wright at times, but that's why he frustrates me more than any other player, is off the ball. I mean, you noticed that a lot of times in that first half, he was just wandering about when they were on the attack. I don't get it. Ryan Kent, I think, deserves criticism tonight for that as well. I thought, I mean, I've seen some comments on Twitter, you know, calling that he should be possibly taken out of the team. It's not the first time that's been levelled at him in a Rangers jersey. If you remember, I seem to remember particularly at the start of last year, when he came back after his injury spell. People were calling for him to take a rest, and that's what happened. And he came back and he was stronger. I'm not sure. I think what we could improve on is basic, simple things. I can't remember who it was that put it in. I think it might have been Scott Cameron put it in our group chat. But basically, that's 7, maybe 6 of the goals that we've conceded in the last 2 games are preventable, I think. And that is the only sort of positive that I can see from this. I just hope that the players are, and again, I cannot believe I'm saying this in September after our first Champions League game, that I hope they're still fighting for the manager. I mean, you and I obviously haven't seen any of the post-match reaction stuff. It'll be dead interesting to see how Gio is after that. But yeah, I know. I mean, we might as well come on to it. I've seen quite a few calls for it on Twitter. A few people have said that this is perhaps a result too far for the manager. Bit early to be calling for his resignation, Ross, at this stage in the season, given what he did, got us to a European final and won us a Scottish Cup last year as well.
Yeah, definitely too early to be calling for the manager. I think a lot of people will listen to this back, and if they listen to me on Monday, they'll be like, well, you've changed your tune because you were so critical of the manager on Monday. And I was critical of the manager on Monday, but that was based on domestic performances and results. Now, I'm not excusing this performance in the Champions League. We have got here now. We've earned the right to be here. And it's important that we show up and we make a really good account of ourselves. You said at the beginning, we're not expecting Rangers to go out there and absolutely batter these teams. Ultimately, we're probably going to lose 3 or 4 of these games in the group, if we're honest. But we just want the team to give back a wee bit. We've backed them. We just want performances in the Champions League. That's all. We're not asking for much. In terms of the manager, yeah, it's way too early. You can't sack Giovanni Van Bronckhorst based on one result in the Champions League. We have to remember that ultimately we are moving up a level tonight. Now, of course, we played some great teams last year, and I have heard that argument. You know, we played the likes of Dortmund and Leipzig, and these teams are in the Champions League, and that's fine. But it was knockout stages, and there was a lot of pressure in those games, and that pressure told on these Leipzig and Dortmund teams, and we've done fantastically well to progress. In a group stage like that, I always feel there's a wee bit less pressure on teams and they just come out and play their football. And I think that's what we've seen tonight. Of course, we've seen a poor performance from Rangers, but we did see a great performance from Ajax. At points in that first half, they were pulling us around, and they had so many overloads and they were making it look easy. And that's really difficult to deal with. I'm not excusing the performance, but there's got to be a wee bit of understanding of the level of opposition. And I think that's ultimately what will save Van Bronckhorst here. I don't think you can remove the manager after that sort of result. you know, it's a sore one. I think it makes it even worse because we lost 4-0 at the weekend to Celtic at Parkhead. But we can't remove a manager after the first game of the Champions League. We need to understand of the level here. If let's just say right now, if we go to Aberdeen at the weekend and we don't get a really positive result and a really positive performance, may I add, the team need to give a performance now, then I can understand people calling for the manager's head. And in fact, I'll find it difficult to defend him because I was very critical on Monday. So it's too early for me. I know a lot of people will disagree with that. That's okay. How do you feel?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I'm the exact same as you in terms of that. I think it's the games in the Champions League are almost a free hit. I think any win or a draw is against some of these levels opposition is a bonus. I mean, you look at the other teams we've got to play in the group in terms of Napoli and Liverpool. I think we're just going to have to go and enjoy these nights for the spectacle of what they are. I think it's far too early to call for Van Bronckhorst's resignation. I don't know. Something's happened behind the scenes. It's almost like you could almost sense it again with the sort of Gerrard era. Remember when everybody was sort of coming out and going, "There's something not quite right here," and I don't know what it is. I don't know if there's been a fallout from the weekend. I don't know if that's shocked them. That the fact that it's a result like that's happened not once, but we also had the February result at Parkhead as well. But you know, I saw and there was a good comment on Twitter, and it was somebody just put something like there was no invention, no ideas, no creativity, no desire, no physicality, no confidence, no direction, and no belief in ourselves. That's all we have to change for
It's
for
it's hard to disagree with any of that, to be honest, isn't it? It's hard to disagree.
Yeah.
Do you think that this maybe stems from the recruitment? Now, obviously, we've seen that with Van Bronckhorst coming out in the press conference the last couple of days, and he's defended that Rangers didn't go into the transfer market in the last week, and he says he's happy with the squad. I don't remember Gerrard ever coming out and questioning the board and publicly saying that he wasn't happy with the recruitment. I don't remember that. I remember maybe saying he was frustrated that some deals weren't getting pushed over the line and things, but we did see after Gerrard left that he came out and he was honest and said he didn't feel like the board had backed him and he wanted to go again.
Yeah.
Now, that is what I think happened last season when we all felt that something had happened behind the scenes, but we didn't know at the time. Mm-hmm. Could it be something similar? Could it? I know that Van Bronckhorst comes out in the press conference and he rightly does come out and make it out like there's nothing going on in the background and he's happy with everything, because really we've seen it down south with Scott Parker. We've also seen it today with Thomas Tuchel. I think he questioned Chelsea's recruitment during the summer. It doesn't really end well for the manager if that's the approach you take. So do you think maybe there's something behind the scenes, maybe with the recruitment, that's unsettled everyone?
I think you could be onto something there. I mean, look, as you said, Gio would be daft to say anything but he was happy with it, or else he wouldn't be in a job, I think. And again, I've seen it leveled at Gio. I think he's a bit more of I don't know if it's the correct analogy, but a bit more of a company man, if you know what I mean. I think he's a lot more, you know, on message and things like that. But I think you could be correct, because I think everybody can see that this squad isn't equipped for this level of football, and it was evident on that pitch tonight. Gio can only work with the personnel that he's been given. You know, do you criticise the manager for not being at Douglas Park's door chapping it, and you know, a couple of days before the transfer window saying we need people in, we need people pronto. You know, we had the links with I can't remember the guy's name, but the Raskin from Belgium and the Brazilian that plays with Michelin.
Evander.
Yeah.
Evander, yeah.
And, you know, they seem like players that, you know, £6-7 million players that could sort of compete at this level. You know, again, I never know how much truth is in it, but I saw the thing about Skov Olsen. He seems to be absolutely tearing it up in the Belgian league as well. I think it was 71 minutes for every sort of goal contribution, be it an assist or scoring himself. Yeah, you don't know. You know, the board's been very quiet in transfers, but I think there could be something in that, because it's evident I know we could maybe say it maybe goes a bit unsaid at times, but we do have a lot of players in the injury list at the moment, and I don't think that's helping. I think that's compounding matters even more. But yeah, I think
there was just something I wanted to highlight. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. There was just something I wanted to highlight, and I'm curious to know how you think of this as well. Obviously, we can criticise Van Bronckhorst and we can criticise the recruitment. The thing that I've been really disappointed with in the last 2 games is the big players in our team. The Taverniers, the Goldsons, the Lundstroms. I've not felt that real presence from them to carry the team and get them through. There's just something not been there. I thought some of their performances at Parkhead were atrocious, and ultimately we've seen that again tonight. I don't think Goldson done anything too bad tonight, to be fair, but Lundstrom was slack and Tavernier was obviously criminal for the 3rd goal. And these guys are the 3 names on the team sheet, including the goalkeeper, obviously, that Van Bronckhorst really trusts these guys. And I've not felt like our big players, you can probably include Ryan Kent in that as well, they've just not turned up for us in the last couple of games. You can sometimes forgive players that play more of a bit part role and they come in and out, and you can let that go. But see, if you've got your big players there, it makes such a big impact. And I've just not felt their presence at all. And that's the bit that I can't understand. If Van Bronckhorst was annoyed with recruitment and there was a wee bit of unsettlement behind the scenes, I don't understand how that would affect the big players in the dressing room, because ultimately they play for Rangers, and I would expect them to drive, all of these players through this.
Yep.
I've just not felt it at all. They've been lacking real influence on that football pitch, and in 2 games that you need your big players. If your big players don't show up at Parkhead, you will not win. If your big players don't show up in an away game in the Champions League, you are going to struggle. Yeah. And we've seen that twice.
Yeah, it's an interesting point that you've said, and it's something I've thought about myself. But you look at it, if you're talking about, I mean, I think you can, when Gio was talking about, he talked to the, what do you call it, the sort of senior, not management team, but the senior leadership team. That's what they get referred to as. That's your Lundstroms, your Goldsons, your Tavs, and possibly, I can't see Kent being as vocal in that, but yeah, I would certainly. He's one of your he's been at the club for what, 5-6 years now. He knows what it's all about. Recruiting wise, did we go in and fill a right back? No. Did we go in and get a centre back that was going to challenge Goldson? No. Did we go in and get a defensive midfielder that was going to challenge Lundstrom? No. Did we go in and get a left winger that was going to challenge Kent? No. It's not a coincidence for me that Barisic is seriously upped his game since Yilmaz has come in. He's got a bit of competition there. These 4 guys don't have anybody behind them to push them. I mean, who's as you said, who's replacing Tav? It's Leon King. He's not. It's not even his natural position at right wing. And Sakala clearly isn't. He's maybe the only player that I could see that might be challenging Kent on the left. But I don't see him getting any game time soon. There's maybe an argument for playing Matondo on the left, given that that's where he seemed to have a lot of his success last year in the Belgian league. But yeah, that's the only reason I can think of, is that there's nobody challenging these guys. And what is there? I mean, other than playing for Rangers and playing in the Champions League, it's ridiculous saying it, but like, what is their motivation? Because regardless of how poor they're playing, they're going to start the next game, aren't they? So I don't want to single out those 4 guys in particular, but it's just seeing as you did that.
Yeah, that's what I've been disappointed with. It's the big players, and I can understand. I think you've made a great point there, actually, with Barisic, because I think Barisic has arguably been our best player for the last 2 or 3 games, and he knows there's someone right behind him pushing him. You made a great point for the rest of them. They don't really have that, and I think that's maybe what's holding them back. So I feel sorry for the manager in that regard, because if these players are playing below the level he expects, he doesn't really have anyone else to bring in.
Yeah.
So, and if he does make that change and he starts taking out these big players, we all know what professional footballers can be like. It could unsettle the dressing room when these big players are left out. So, listen, this is why Van Bronckhorst get paid the big money to make these decisions, and listen, he'll live and die by them. But all round, I'm just disappointed with the club from top to bottom. To be honest, it's a real low point for us right now.
Yeah, I think that's exactly how a lot of Rangers fans are feeling. It's 2 weeks ago there was a real good feel factor around the club in terms of qualifying for the Champions League, a magnificent win away in Holland, and now 2 weeks later we're when they ended 2-4-0 defeats. But look, the last point I think, Ross, before we leave it, and I think this has been quite a cathartic podcast in terms of getting out all the what we feel all the issues were, but Saturday, what do you feel needs to change for the game away to Pittodrie, and how confident are you going into that game, and what do Rangers need to do to turn it around, so to speak?
Yeah, well, I'm not confident, to be honest with you. Now, I know that you should be going away to Aberdeen, but the last two results, yeah, I think it's difficult to have any real confidence in this Rangers side at the moment. What I would say, and I'm not really expecting it, but I think he needs to freshen the team up now. That is 2 games. We've seen what he probably considers his strongest 11. I think he needs to freshen it up. I think he needs to bring guys like Leon King in. I think he needs to give, maybe Matondo a chance, even Sakala. He's got to bring Morelos in now. The guy needs minutes. He should have been on the park tonight. The game was done. It was a real opportunity to get him some more minutes in the legs. He needs to freshen it up. I'd like to see him, of course, play the usual way, hopefully Tavernier's fit, but even potentially you bring Leon King in at centre back and you move James Sands one forward. Just something fresh, something that maybe makes opposition teams sit up as well and go, wow, he's changing things. Just I think we need a freshness now. I think if you go in with that same 11 again, I don't think there's any real momentum being created. And I think the fans will just be up in arms because it's like, how can you perform like that twice within the space of 4 days and still manage to keep your team the same? I just don't think fans will stand for that. So yeah, I think he needs to freshen up now, to be honest with you. I will be confident if he does that, but right now as it stands, I'm not confident. And I said this on Monday, I fear for the manager if he doesn't get a win this weekend. I fear for him. I'll find it really difficult to defend his position, and I don't think many will defend his position if he doesn't get a result this weekend.
Yeah, it's what a set of circumstances to find ourselves in so early on in the season after what was a good I feel good to the end of last season, although albeit in disappointment with the Europa League. But yeah, it's absolutely crazy. I think that we are going into this game against Aberdeen. I think everybody knew, looking at the fixtures straight off the bat, that this was going to be a tough few weeks. But the fact that Gio's head's getting called for is madness. But I think there's a fair point. I think a lot, if we lose and we lose heavily or in a particular, and there's no performance at Aberdeen, I think a lot of people, like you and I, that are currently still in the Gio camp will change their view on that. But look, Ross, thanks for joining us tonight. Just want to remind everybody, get us on all the usual socials: Facebook, Twitter. What else is there? Instagram's the other one that I never use it. That's why I can't remember it. There'll be a bulletin for previewing the Aberdeen game at the weekend, and then we'll have our normal Sunday flagship pod at 8 o'clock as well. Hope to see you all joining in then, and take care, guys, and we'll see you all soon.